Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Raising Healthy Mothers. So, I've just started my winter wellness reset, which is why the last couple of weeks we have spent a lot of time talking about immune health and preparing for the season of snot here on the podcast. So, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about what to eat for your immune system, what to stock up on, how to build a strong foundation for the winter. But today, I wanted to zoom out a little bit because immune resilience isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about how you live day to day. And honestly, the fact that you're here listening to me on my podcast, maybe you've been here for a long time, maybe you've only just found me, you're already doing something different because you're already choosing to think about you and your health, not as an afterthought. Maybe you're at that time in motherhood where you can finally think about yourself, knowing that you are worth nurturing, even if you're not really sure how to make it happen in the middle of family life. And the thing is, I've been reflecting recently on the work I do with mums, especially one-to-one. And what I've realised lately is that it's actually rarely that they don't know what to do. It's rarely about a lack of knowledge, especially because quite a lot of people often come to work with me after they've done something with me before, whether it's a workshop or more recently been part of the seasonal reset, or because they are in my meal planning membership, the weekly table. So they already come to me to work one-to-one with some knowledge. They know what is good for them. They know what is healthy. And to be honest, they know this as well, not just for themselves, but because of their children. Most of the mums I work with already know that what you eat is so important. They care deeply about what their children eat, and it obviously is going to rub off on them. They know about the importance of protein and fiber, blood sugar balance, gut health. They're not short on information. In fact, none of us are, because it is so busy out there. There is so much information out there. But what a lot of people struggle with, and what I spend a lot of my time helping them do, is putting that knowledge into practice, finding ways to make meeting their own needs fit inside the busyness of family life so that they can actually feel the difference that putting that knowledge into practice actually can make. One mum I worked with last year desperately wanted to get back into running and yoga. Like, it was her number one sort of goal was, I'd like to get to a point when I can start running again. She wasn't particularly ambitious with it. She was just like, I just would like to start going out running once a week. And she was also a trained yoga teacher. And she was like, I'd love to start doing yoga again. At the time, she had an 8 and 6-year-old. Even though she only worked part-time, when she wasn't working, she was obviously catching up on chores and just trying to get other stuff done. And she spent all weekend ferrying the kids to activities and having quality family time. She just felt that there was no time or energy left for herself. So when we started working together, we started with breakfast, which is almost always where I start with my clients, making sure that she was eating stuff that was going to fuel her properly and working on building steady energy throughout her day. By the end of our time together, she had found the time and energy to start running regularly with a friend. And it's been a year now, and she has just finished her first marathon, which is incredible considering a year ago she couldn't even imagine finding the time to go once a week. She'd always wanted to do a marathon even before she had kids, and just, then life happened and kids happened and it just was never going to work out. And then there was another mum I worked with who used to crash hard every single afternoon. It's that classic 4 o'clock window. Kids are home from school, they're tired, they're wired, they're hyper, they're crashing from after school. She's obviously on edge, biscuit tin calling. So we worked on stabilizing her blood sugars, making sure that she had savory breakfast because that's what suited her and her blood sugars and her energy levels. She was eating proper lunches instead of just sandwiches and crisps all the time. And suddenly she noticed that she didn't actually need that sugar as much to survive the day, as long as she focused on that savoury breakfast. And she used to say, as long as I started the day with a savoury breakfast, I can get through with just a little snack of a few squares of dark chocolate and some nuts. And it's really noticeable because I'm not snapping at the kids so much. And these are exactly the kind of stories I love to hear from my clients, because it's so not about that kind of single goal of more energy or whatever. It's about the bigger picture. It's about how it's going to impact your whole life, your whole family life, and into old age as well. I also had a client who found herself constantly falling asleep whenever she put her children to bed, and she'd often wake up an hour later, drag herself out of bed, finish up the housework before collapsing into bed way later than she knew was healthy for her. And she knew all of this, she knew what she needed to do, but just couldn't find a way to do it. So we worked together, we focused on making small tweaks, we improved her meals, we added snacks in that gave her steady energy, helped her to manage the demands of 2 quite high need kids. And within a couple of months, she was able to find the energy to work out 3 times a week after bedtime. She wasn't falling asleep with her kids anymore. She wasn't crashing. She was finally doing something that she really wanted to do, but never imagined she'd have the energy for. All of these women knew what healthy looked like. What changed wasn't their knowledge. I didn't really tell them much new stuff. It was their ability to prioritize themselves, to give themselves permission to make themselves matter. And this is what I've realized is my best favorite part of working with people, because when you start prioritizing resilience, not perfection, just that steady consistency, everything shifts, because you start to respond instead of reacting. You find more patience, more presence, even on those really crazy, messy days. And the thing is, that has this incredible knock-on effect on the whole family, because your kids mirror your mood. If you're calm, they will be calm. And that means way fewer meltdowns and smoother meal times. Knowing that when I help my clients to eat in a way that is going to keep their energy level steady, I know that they can manage things way better. And that means that you can then begin to have the energy to focus on what actually matters, whether that's exercise or just cooking again for pleasure, enjoying meals again because you're finally cooking for yourself, not just for your fussy children, or just feeling like you have recaptured the essence of you again. And to be honest, that is what resilience looks like in real life. It's not constantly bouncing back from burnout. It's not getting into that roller coaster of burnout and bouncing back. It's about not falling into burnout in the first place. We so often wait until crisis point, until things fall apart before we start thinking, do you know what? I need to do something about this. I need to pay attention. You know, it's that point when you have a cold that holds you up in bed for weeks on end, or that exhaustion that you think is just a normal part of motherhood. The feeling that all you're going to do is get through the day and one day it will get better. One day your children will be older and you'll be able to manage the housework and work and all these, you know, quality times and home life and all of these things that I know are on your mind and are making you feel like you're a failure. I don't want you to just get through the day. I want you to thrive. I want you to enjoy those moments with your children with abandon, without having to feel like there's always something else to do. And that's why I really think you don't have to wait for that breaking point. You can start building that steady, grounded version of yourself now, the one who has energy left at the end of the day, the one who can start working out after the kids have gone to bed, who feels calm and capable and in control. And importantly, modeling what well-being actually looks like for her kids, because that's what this is about. We are mothers that want our children to grow up to be resilient, happy, healthy, mature people, independent of us. That's what we want. And I know that that can happen, and you don't have to wait until they're older and more capable, because do you know what? Something else is going to happen that is going to make things tricky. No, there is no such thing as life will get easier when, because there will be a different challenge. So I'd love this week if you could notice one moment when you just put someone else's needs first, when maybe you don't actually need to. That moment when you override your own needs. You know, is it because you're skipping lunch so you can finish work early, or you're pushing through bedtime without asking for help? Maybe you're dragging yourself out of bed because you know there's still chores to be done, when actually what your body is really crying out for is just to go to bed. Can you pause and make a different choice? Can you eat first? Ask for help. Leave the washing, leave the laundry pile, take 5 minutes, or just go to bed early. And then notice the ripple effect. How does that one small, different choice that you've made change your mood, your patience, your energy levels later or the next day? And that, for me, is how resilience starts in motherhood. One small, doable choice made at the moment, and that you then do another small, doable choice again and again. So the Winter Wellness Reset is underway now. It is closed. If you missed it, don't worry. There is still a next step. If you are ready for something short, focused, and personal, my Gentle Nutrition Kickstarter might be exactly what you need. It's where you send me your food diary and questionnaire, and I'll help you spot the quick, impactful tweaks that will boost your energy, balance your blood sugar, and support your immune system. No massive overhauls, just a handful of real life changes that you can actually stick to, that we agree on together. So it's not just about me telling you what to do. We take your life, your family, your work, your everything into context and make sure the changes that I'm suggesting are actually going to work for you. And then you get 2 weeks worth of support from me via WhatsApp so that you actually get this done. Like I said, I know you probably already know what you need to do. You just need someone in your back pocket to help you make it happen. I'd love to hear from you. If that sounds like exactly what you need, follow the link in my show notes and you'll be taken straight to the booking page where you can get started with the Nutrition Kickstarter. Otherwise, I'll be back again next week for another episode of Raising Healthy Mothers. Bye for now.